right, good afternoon. Good afternoon. All right, thank you. Thank you all for being here. This is such an exciting day. Everyone loves everyone loves to move into a new home, right? I mean, we all have experienced it, hopefully, or we will experience it. The students that are here when you buy your own new house. So this is kind of what the feeling is today. We're moving into a new home right here, right? So days like this really remind us of the promise of our students, our faculty, our staff, our research, and especially also our alumni. They remind us of what we can all do together, what we have done together, and more specifically what we all will do together in the future. So welcome to the celebration of the renovation of the Everitt Lab into the first permanent home for the Department of Bioengineering at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. My name is Rashid Bashir. I'm the Executive Associate Dean for the new Carl Illinois College of Medicine and also a faculty member of Bioengineering. And I was a former head of Bioengineering and worked with lots of great faculty and staff to actually help get this building to where it is. So it's really just a tremendous pleasure and honor to be here today. I'm very confident when I say that the Everitt Lab, the new Everitt Lab's impact will be felt for decades to come. The global health challenges that we face today are really complex. They are really difficult. They require multidisciplinary solutions to bring people together from all across walks of life and all across the campus. We need bright, compassionate, energetic, hardworking bioengineers, social scientists, computer engineers, data scientists, doctors, other medical professionals, social scientists, and many colleagues from around campus to really come together to look at these grand challenges in healthcare. And now, thanks to more than 55 million in improvements and more than 2 years of hard work, they now have, all of these colleagues and friends, they now have a hub for their work. This will be like the mothership for bioengineering and health technology, while we are, of course, collaborating with lots of people and lots of institutes and departments across the campus. The much-needed teaching labs, wet labs, office spaces, classrooms, and collaborative spaces. This would really be just a great place to launch all that. And of course, there's a world-class medical simulation center all right here. Together, we will develop new technologies for early diagnosis of cancer and infectious diseases, develop new prosthetics for the elderly, develop new brain-machine interface devices for the disabled, develop new therapeutic devices and new approaches to personalized and individualized medicine. We'll improve the human condition, the quality of life, reduce costs, and also extend lives by another 30 years. And I'm sure this is all possible with the great work that will come out of Illinois. This wonderful building has been a vibrant part of our campus since 1948. We have altered it dramatically, as you'll see also later. The outside had to be kept pretty much the same and was enhanced, but inside is just completely different. For those friends and alums who are coming after many years and looking at the building and what it was before as Everitt Lab and the new Everitt Lab, you will see this phenomenal difference inside when you take the tours later on. But we insisted on keeping one crucial part of the building the same, which was its name. So William Everett spent more than 40 years reforming engineering education. He led the Department of Electrical Engineering and as well as the College of Engineering. He brought some of the brightest minds that we know today. He brought them to Illinois during his tenure here, and he inspired them and he encouraged them to do great things, to really think ahead and really want to change the world. And he expected them to adopt a designed curriculum in which research and education went hand in hand. And back then, that was a new idea, and he was so forward-looking on that front to really integrate research and education that now we all talk about doing. And that was a new idea, and it defined engineering curricula really around the world. That work turned Illinois into a world leader in electrical engineering and in engineering education. Those engineers went on to define the future of microelectronics in the 60s, and Silicon Valley, seriously, we all joke at times, but it is true, Silicon Valley and everything that's there really can be traced back to the work that was being done at Illinois and the people that graduated of Illinois. So all of the incredible changes and the prosperity that has been brought, it really simply wouldn't exist without Illinois engineers and Illinois electrical engineers. I hope and I know that with our new home in Everitt Lab, the Illinois bioengineers, scientists and physicians will do the same for human health. That is our hope, that is our aspiration. The building may be different, but the name and the approach to changing the world to be a better place is really the same. At the bottom of it, we want to change the world to be a better place and really improve the human condition. We are really fortunate today to have William Everett III, the grandson of Dean Everett, with us today to reflect on his grandfather, William Everett. So let's welcome him now, and he will make some remarks.
Well, they told me I had 20 minutes. Is that wrong? So my name is William Littell Everett III, and Grandpa actually did not have the moniker of second until I came around. And so I changed his name, and I'm glad you didn't. I was actually here in January for the investiture of the William L. Everett Distinguished Professor Award in Electrical Engineering. And when I was here, I was marked by this idea that I don't think I know what the heck he was. I knew that he was a fantastic engineer, that the things we grew up with, he invented the radar altimeter. And when I was a kid pre-9/11, that means you got into every cockpit on every airplane you ever rode on. In fact, I remember one time as a kid, I told the pilot my grandfather was the inventor of the radar altimeter, and he was so enthralled that he had me sit in the pilot seat as he went through the checklist and had me start the engines, of which I was ready to fly at that point. So I was really, really excited about Grandpa, and my name being his name was something that was a weight on my shoulders my whole life. It was a weird weight, though. It wasn't anything that crippled me. It was something that excited me. But when I came, I was struck by the idea that most of the people that I was talking to didn't really know my grandfather, and if they did, they may have interacted. I met some children of professors who knew, and we all goofed around together and made lots of problems at the ECE building. But so I was sitting there, and by trade, I'm a salesperson. So I typecast everybody, and I can read people in a kind of a really weird, uncanny way. But I always have I have data points, right? I'm an engineer, I guess, in my mind. At least I should be in my biology. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, okay, I don't really know what's going on with Grandpa, what he really was. I think I need to find a professor that might be able to inspire me to understand this. And so I had a forensic sketch in my mind of what a professor looked like, and I brought the sketch with me. So when I turned it right side up, I realized I found Mike. So I cornered him, and I said, "Are you a professor?" And he says, "Yes, I'm a professor." And then he said, "And I'm the acting department head." And I said, "Well, great, I got the right guy." So I said, "Hey, listen, I don't really know anything about my grandpa's legacy from your eyes. Can you tell me? Don't give me the VIP version, because we were in the building and it was, they were giving us a huge tour and it was still being built." And he said, well, he looked at me like any great professor would, with loving eyes, and says, "You mean you don't know?" And then doesn't give me the answer, because of course I have to teach myself, and he says, "Go look up a man named Vandemeyer Bush, and maybe you'll be able to get on to what it is." And I said, "Oh, come on, give me a little more." And he says, "Listen, William Everett was the founding father, one of the founding fathers of a Tier 1 research university, and changed the course of engineering education forever." And I said, "Well, that's a big thing to load on me." Well, my partner in business is my brother Clark, and he can attest to you that I've been worthless ever since he gave me that information, and I have been dived into research about my grandfather. So as I did this, there's these big bios. Bob Jordan gave me another bio, and there's lots of them. I look lots of resumes, and anything over a page, my ADD says, forget it, I don't know what you're talking about.
So I start going through, and I realize there's a gap. There's a gap in this bio of 1940 to 1945 when he arrives here at the University of Illinois. Up to that point, he's a noted engineer. He creates a revolutionary book, becomes a bestseller. He's outside of the box of regular electrical engineering. He's not looking at transmission or the making of electricity. He's off into wireless, right? We take this for granted, but he's in wireless communication, forefront of it, creates a book. And while I'm looking at this and I'm thinking he's this great engineer, and all of a sudden there seems to be two Everetts. The great engineer and the great dean or great administrator. And I thought, where did this transformation come from? So I go to the war years. Much of that is unclassified now, and I was able to see some of his papers. And what happened was he was called in 1940 by Vandemeyer Bush to be part of the National Defense Research Council. And as some of you have heard it, the famous thing that came out of that is the Manhattan Project. But what that was Vandemeyer Bush saw that we were behind. We weren't in the war yet, but if we were going to war, there was going to be a need to win it in technology. And he had a 15-minute meeting with FDR in which he convinced him to let him create this council. One of the very first people he asked outside of the what they called the board there was William Everett. He was at the forefront of radio technology and radar and antenna. He was out there doing the great things. And by 1942, they had asked him to go and organize the operational research group of the Signal Corps and the Army. And then he became the person that kept a watch on the ships and the planes and everything that was coming in. His job was to train and get everybody up on board. Now, here's what's the interesting part. Up until the point of World War II, engineering was not a noble profession. I don't mean that in a denigrating way. I mean in a reality. Even here at the university, as we see, there's a plaque over here of one of the first engineers here at University of Illinois, and sound with movies and the great invention. But these were just hobbies because mostly they were teaching, but they were only teaching fundamentals so that you could go into industry, and industry would do the research, like the Bell Communications and AT&T. They were doing the research. The universities weren't. Professors were just teachers. There were some that did some research, but they were on the side and usually not well funded. But after that all changed. And so the question was, who changed that? Now, I attribute it to three individuals. And and the way I found this is that if you go to IEEE's 1984, they had a publish of the greatest engineers of the century. And on that, of the education, there was Frederick Terman, he's of Stanford, and then William Everett, and then John Ryder, who actually was the dean here as well. And then you go down the list, Vandemeyer Bush. Now, what was that? Vandemeyer Bush was the old school. He was already well into his career by the time Grandpa was coming to his peak. But he went out and put these minds together, and he saw in the war that the technology was going to create new things. And it was going to, like Mr. Brashear said, Dr. Brashear, that it's going to change the world. Technology would do that. He knew that and he saw that. And so the physicist and the mathematician and the engineer worked together. So instead of the engineer taking some kind of order to fabricate something that they figured out how to do through some analytical process, Grandpa believed in synthesis, and that if they could do the same kind of things and got the same type of opportunities that the true scientists, as they were called, could do it, they could take engineering out of the mechanical arts part of the colleges into a first tier, first rate, fundamentally different place. Now, I'm sure I've already gotten close to the end, so let me tell you what I've got. I wanted to read something from his book. I don't have a first edition. I only have a second edition and a third edition. I'm still looking for the first, but in here, in the preface, he has the same preface that he wrote in December of 1931. This morning I was asked what would he think of the bioengineering, the building become bioengineering. Now, ECE, I think, would probably get mad at me for saying this. They believe that his roots are in ECE, but his roots were engineering. He believed that engineering was a way of thought. And inside you'll see there's a quote that says, "I'm an optimist. It may be proven that pessimists were right in the end, but we optimists have more fun along the way." That little line in between where he says the pessimist might be proved right in the end, I don't know why he used that. I think he was trying to make someone feel better, but he didn't believe that at all. And the reason is because as a scientist, he knew that when he looked in that mirror and he was looking at the reflection of himself, that reflection was already old. He never looked and reflected on things of yesterday. He looked forward with a vision of what would become. And so he wrote in his book, "In the growth of a tree," and he's talking about engineering as it grows up, right? "And the growth of a tree in early division is made in distinct branches. So in the growth in science, so is the growth of science and technology. The field is usually separated, and after a short time, into different components. At first, it is easy to associate any new growth with a definite branch, but as the tree expands and develops, the branches overlap, and thus at times it becomes difficult to tell what branch and particular leaf a twig belongs." So why bioengineering, the Everitt Lab? I can tell you that of those three people that fundamentally changed engineering forever, only one has a name of a building. Fred Terman, who was equally as important, his building got torn down a few years ago, and they didn't put his name back on it. I was told by the provost that the Granger Foundation insisted that it would be his name, and I am grateful. So today we rededicate the Everitt Lab as the home of Bioengineering Department located at the intersection of medicine, biology, and engineering. We do this as a tribute to the legacy of William L. Everett. And to his vision of an engineer dedicated to the process of synthesis and the principle of interdisciplinary collaboration and devoted to the motto, "Learn and apply," will indeed be the benefit of mankind. I know that to be true. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and from the family, we're honored for his name to be still here and that the forefront of technology will still have his name on it, because that's what he believed. And as many engineers and faculty as I meet, they believe this. And I don't know that they know it comes from him, but I know that it's deep in the roots, and this is ground zero, and always has been for innovation, and ground zero for education, and now it will be ground zero for the next wave of engineers who are doctors, not doctors who are engineers. I thank you for the time, and the family thanks you very much for this honor.
Thank you very much, William. That was wonderful, really inspiring. And again, if we had only half the impact or a third of the impact that your grandfather did, we'll be so proud of our lives. So to really thank you very much, and we thank all the family for being here. It's really appreciated. We couldn't possibly do our work without some very, very important people. Who I'd like to acknowledge, who are with us. Some are with us, and some are not here, but I'll acknowledge them. So as I mention your name, please stand. And if the rest of us are able to, let's hold our applause till the very end. The College of Engineering is forever grateful, eternally grateful for the ongoing tremendous support of the Granger Foundation. They provided $20 million towards the Everitt Lab renovation as part of the Granger Engineering Breakthrough Initiative. The initiative total included $100 million and also included support for undergraduate scholarships, which is enabling lots of students, first-generation students, lots of students to go to college. Research for funding for research for faculty chairs and professorships. John Chapman of the Granger Foundation Board is here today. I'd like to ask him to stand. Bill DeSoma has been incredibly generous to us. Along with his company, Jump Trading, and the DeSoma Family Foundation, he provided $10 million for the Jump Trading Simulation Center. This space and the educational strategies that it reflects are really at the heart of the new Carle Illinois College of Medicine, whose first class actually arrived here in July. Bill wasn't able to be with us today, but we appreciate his support greatly. The Carver Foundation provided significant equipment upgrades for the Department of Bioengineering multiple times over the last many years. They have done that for us. Dr. Troy Ross and Dr. Lynn Sasmazer are with us from the Carver Foundation. We'll ask them to stand and be acknowledged. I would also like to acknowledge the members of the Department of Bioengineering External Advisory Board. They usually come here and get a lot of technical details, which they did today, but today was also very ceremonious, so thank them for being a part of this, and I'll ask them to stand briefly and be recognized. These are very distinguished faculty from faculty in from all across institutions across the country and from industry, who have been indispensable to our success up to now, and they give us great advice, and I hope continue to keep us on our toes. Thank you. I'd like to also thank Professor Mike Insana. Where is Mike? Mike is right here. Mike, please stand. Mike is the interim head of the Department of Bioengineering and the building committee. He was the second head, actually, and then last year when I moved on to the College of Medicine, we asked him to step in, and he did that without any hesitation whatsoever. He became the interim head. I'll also take this opportunity to ask all the bioengineering faculty and staff to stand, please, briefly. So, if there's many bioengineering faculty. Thank you. So thank you. You all are doing amazing work, and continue that. I really appreciate that. And then last, but not certainly the least, we have a very special guest also with us today. I'd like to ask Professor Bruce Wheeler to stand. Bruce Wheeler, he was the founding head of the Department of Bioengineering. And he was head for about 5 years, helped get the department and the curriculum started, and we're really glad that you're back with us today. So let's give all of these folks a big round of applause again, please. Thank you. Okay, now I have the pleasure to invite Provost Andres Cangelares to the stage to make some comments. Andres, as we all know, he's the provost of our great campus, and he was also the Dean of Engineering for 5 years, and before that, he was the head of the Electrical and Computer Engineering Department in Everitt Lab. So he has a very unique perspective of all of this. I'll ask him to make some comments.
Thank you. Thank you, Rashid. And on behalf of the University of Illinois, many thanks to all of you for being here with us on this such a special day. At Illinois, we talk about the importance of multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary work. We talk about coming together to tackle real societal problems. We talk about people and changing lives being at the heart of our mission. I know very well our own bioengineering colleagues understand that as well as anyone else on this campus. Not only do they believe these things are important, they embody these ideas and live them out in their work. By definition, bioengineering fulfills this calling at the intersection of biology and engineering in the service of health and wellness for all. Bioengineering has been an integral part of our fabric at Illinois for more than 70 years. It was 1946 when Bill Fry came to the Electrical Engineering Department at the University of Illinois and launched the field of therapeutic ultrasound and pioneered the development of some of the earliest medical ultrasound imaging systems. It was Bill Fry who introduced ultrasound as a way to detect disease. And through those breakthroughs in medical ultrasound, Illinois went on to establish itself as an academic leader in biomedical imaging, with pioneering contributions and breakthroughs continuing vibrant, significant, and impactful to this day. And for those of us who were around during the early days of the bioengineering department, we remember very well that it was the biomedical imaging community that provided the foundation on which the Bioengineering Department was built. It all got started with Bill Fry, 70 years ago. And who brought Bill Fry to Illinois? Bill Everett. And this is why it is so fitting for Everitt Lab, reimagined and renovated to a state-of-the-art education and research facility, to become the headquarters of the Illinois Department of Bioengineering. Since its beginning, Everitt Lab has been an important part of the Illinois landscape. As you heard, this lab has a serious legacy of impact and innovation. And now, with each renovation, it is ready to train the next generation of scholars and experts. What discoveries will be made here? What relationships will be forged here? What companies will be launched here? There is so much promise, so much possibility, and it all starts today. This will be a fantastic resource for our faculty and our students, and will be a hub for anyone passionate about research and education at the nexus of engineering, biology, health, and medicine. In many ways, this is the physical manifestation of bioengineering's history, a place that brings together different disciplines to elevate human lives. An important part of that impact is the JUMP Simulation Center that you heard about, housed right here in Everitt Lab. Part of the Carle Illinois College of Medicine, this simulation center brings together our medical students with students from engineering and the sciences to fuse their expertise, their interest, and passion into the transformational learning, training, and innovation we need to dream, define, and deliver the future of healthcare. The Carle Illinois College of Medicine's mission is to pave the way for a new kind of medical education, one that uses technology to augment human ability and to empower compassion in the delivery of healthcare. This center and the research and instructional laboratories in Everitt Lab are an integral part of this mission. The same way that Bill Everett in the 60s, inspired by all the bold ideas his colleagues were experimenting with right here at Illinois, same way that Bill dreamt, predicted, and documented with amazing accuracy the digital revolution we're experiencing today, our students will dream and set in motion the healthcare revolution the world needs and deserves. It is not a coincidence that the JUMP Simulation Center is built in the same place where the first ever instructional microelectronics fabrication lab on a university campus was in the first incarnation of Everitt Lab. It is a sign of the great things to come. The same way that the microelectronics fab lab in this building pioneered the education and training of the workforce that gave us the semiconductor electronics and the integrated circuit, and helped democratize computing by putting computers and smart devices in our pockets and making their service ubiquitous and empowering for all. The JUMP Sim Center, together with the state-of-the-art instructional and research facilities in the latest reincarnation of Everitt Lab, will inspire, empower, and help launch the workforce that will make sure that health and wellness and high-quality care is a right and not a privilege. Technology can do that. Innovation can do that. Compassion can do that. Determination can do that. Technology, innovation, compassion, determination. This is what Illinois is all about. And this is why Illinois must and will stand up and make it happen. It is truly a privilege to be part of this seminal day in the history of the University of Illinois. We are deeply thankful to the Granger Foundation, the DeSoma Family Foundation, and the Roy J. Carver Charitable Trust, and to all our alumni and friends for being our steadfast supporters and advocates in our aspirations and our mission. We are all in this together to make the world healthier and safer for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Andres. That was wonderful. Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite Interim Dean Tamir Becerra. Where is Tamir? To come and make Tamir. Thank you. I'm sorry. Come and make some brief remarks.
Thank you, Rashid, and good afternoon to everyone. I want to echo what you have heard so far about what the reopening of this building means for the College of Engineering. As it was mentioned, the college is forever indebted to the vision that William Everett had. His legacy includes the hiring of giants like the two-time Nobel laureate John Bardeen, Nick Holonyak, and Tom Sa. From Everitt Lab have come some of the greatest technological inventions of the 20th century, such as LED, the light-emitting diode, and fundamentals of solid-state electronics. In 2014, the EC department vacated Everitt Lab for the state-of-the-art ECE building, continuing to affirm our reputation as a top-ranked program in electrical and computer engineering. At the same time, we set out on a path to have a similar impact on the biomedical and bioengineering field. Through our investment in the Carle, Illinois College of Medicine, the commitment to the Healthcare Engineering Systems Center, and the renovation of the Everitt Lab to house the Department of Bioengineering, and many more initiatives will be very well positioned to be the center of advances in biomedicine in the 21st century, similar to what Silicon Valley is to electronics. This vision did not grow in a vacuum. To begin with, we have been aggressive in hiring world-class faculty to lead efforts in the Department of Bioengineering. The healthcare engineering system at the College of Engineering, the Cancer Center, the Carle, Illinois College of Medicine, and affiliated centers within the college all contributed to this. We had men and women in all these facilities who are already making an impact in changing how we teach and train future doctors and researchers, how we interact with healthcare providers, how we administer drugs, how we do surgery, and so on. Second, we are attracting outstanding students. Last year, for instance, we graduated our first cohort of cancer scholars who are thinking differently about how to win the battle against cancer. The department has been a leader in diversity, as evidenced by the 50-50 split of men and women in recent classes, a distinction rare in bioengineering. Third, we have sought to partner with corporations, nonprofits, and private benefactors who share our vision, such as the Granger Foundation and Jump Trading, which Andreas has already mentioned. They have played a large part in the final piece of the puzzle, and that is facilities. Besides benefiting scholarships and attracting faculty, the $100 million Granger Engineering Breakthroughs Initiative made possible the renovations of Everitt Lab. So I want to thank the Granger Foundation, and John Chapman is here representing the foundation, and I also want to recognize his wife, here, and we had a wonderful conversation last night over dinner. Thank you, John and Nancy. With regard to jump trading, in addition to supporting the JUMP applied research for community health through engineering and simulation program, or shortly JUMP Archers, with a $62.5 million endowment, a $10 million gift made possible the JUMP Simulation Center, which, as you have heard, is housed in the basement of the Everitt Lab. The facility not only exposes our students to the latest simulation training, but also provides a place for area hospitals and medical centers to train their personnel and for new products to be tested. As we mark the milestone of the reopening of the Everitt Lab, we celebrate our past, we share our vision, and we challenge ourselves to use these great resources to truly be leaders in bioengineering and related interdisciplinary research. And also to be a place where pioneers in these fields learn and grow. We believe it will be an epicenter of discoveries that will be life-changing throughout the 21st century and beyond. I thank you very much for attending this event, for being part of the celebration at this historic moment. Thank you.
It all starts with John, because what's going on in there goes all the way back to the business of the transistor. You know, and you know where the transistor starts and gets propagated. Everett was a building in which it was propagated to the people who are going to take it further and further and further. Right. None of those guys going in and ladies going into bioengineering, they have to give it the further identity.
In a very real sense, a huge amount of the work that we do and that we're able to do in biological engineering, we wouldn't be able to do if it weren't for all of the advances that came from this information age and these technological advances. There's a unique and interesting tie-in, and it's also just, you really feel like you're standing on the shoulders of giants.
Everett was central in the transformation of universities in the 40s. And so it's really kind of fitting that the same building, right, with the same name is there for the next transition, which is really this quantitative nature, the engineering component of medicine in the 21st century.
My group wants to, really do some innovative and impactful work in our field, which is therapeutic microbial engineering. The building has all these resources that are available, and I really think that us being able to do what we want to do is going to also be enhanced by having this access to other labs and other people and other ideas. I really feel like it's a really supportive environment.
We are really excited that the Simulation Center is located in the same building as bioengineering. And the fact that we are co-located also means that there is a very good synergy being built between medical students and the engineering students. And this will create an environment where there's a mixing of ideas between different groups of people.
In the Cell and Tissue Engineering Lab course, we teach students to do both bacterial and mammalian cell culture work. We greatly expanded our space to bring in a lot more new equipment for our students to use, and the students have a lot more space to work. So I think they're going to get a lot more hands-on opportunities in this space, and it's going to be really wonderful to teach here.
Just having those great, sort of very modern and very 21st century technologies all put together in this place with our teachers. Our instructors are spectacular.
I got to see some of the space when they were first doing the renovation, and it was just so exciting to come in here and see the teaching spaces especially, which I think is the highlight of the building. And I think the students are going to have a great time here.
What I'm hoping is that we as a faculty and as student bodies sort of have the sense of home. It's really going to help with the memories that students have when they're here. They'll have a place that they'll recognize and sort of think about as their school days. Because before now, we've been a little bit everywhere. And so we'll finally have a place that where we're all coming together.
So very exciting, as you can see. This is just a big, tremendous beginning. I also said earlier that we have a very impressive external advisory board. We want to thank them again for all their service and advice. And I'd like to introduce one of the members of our EAB to come up and make some remarks. So it should come up. Dr. Arkel Giorgio is a nationally recognized physician. Between 1995 and 2007, she was a senior executive and chief medical officer at United Healthcare, the largest managed healthcare company in the world. Today she advises, and she's had tremendous experience in addition to that I won't get into. Today she advises a diverse group of companies and organizations on health issues in industries from financial services, from analytics to education, and we are really fortunate to be one of those organizations that she's helping. I actually met her at a Biomedical Engineering Society meeting that many of us go to, and she was a keynote speaker for the Women in Bioengineering and Diversity lecture, and it was just a fantastic lecture. So I actually just walked up to her, and I said, would you come and visit Illinois and our department? We are just starting a bunch of new great things. And she says yes. So she came and she joined our Excellent Advisory Board. And this is her third trip, I believe. So, Arkel.
Thank you so much. Well, on behalf of the Bioengineering External Advisory Board, I'd like to congratulate all of you on the opening of your new home in Everett Laboratory. Last night when we got a private tour, I was like a kid in a candy store as I was walking through this multi-million-dollar building with state-of-the-art technology that ranged from an atomic force printer, somebody did have to explain to me what that was, to a patient simulator that delivers a baby with all of the sound effects. So just keep that in mind. This building is a reflection of the proven value that bioengineering at the University of Illinois has already delivered to medical care and to science. And I just want to give you a few examples. For women, in just the last 2 years, these are the examples. For women with breast cancer, Professor Bhargava and his group developed new microscope technology and combined it with artificial intelligence to quickly and accurately define the types of cells that make up a tumor. For people with vascular disease, Professor DeBrucke collaborated with Professor Bopart from the Beckman Institute, demonstrating that injecting stem cells from muscle tissue could stimulate new blood vessels to grow. I mean, that is incredible. And this opens up the possibility that diabetics and people with poor circulation might be able to avoid an amputation. And for babies at risk for either being born prematurely or at risk for PKU, which is a genetic defect, Professor Cunningham has accelerated access to care by developing technology that runs diagnostic blood tests on a smartphone at the bedside instead of waiting for results to be processed at a large laboratory. So bioengineering in Champaign is already solidly on the map as a leading center of innovation, and this facility will simply only further enable you to keep advancing the trends and pushing the envelope in artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, biorobotics, biosensors, along with advanced prosthetics, improved imaging, wearable devices, all that will, as you say in the materials that you distribute, they will transform medical care. But I see your opportunity differently than that. I see your opportunity in this new facility as transcending, transforming medical care. You are uniquely positioned to do more than that. You can transform healthcare. In my experience as a physician, a healthcare executive, and especially as a journalist, I believe that one opportunity in healthcare is getting doctors to pause before writing on their prescription pad so they can critically think about the why and the how of diagnosis and treatment. Why are these cancer cells behaving differently? And how does this influence this woman's treatment options? Why does this patient with diabetes have poor blood flow? And how will exercise or stopping smoking or maybe even new blood vessels help avoid losing a limb? And why is the buildup of phenylalanine dangerous to a baby's nervous system? And how does a special diet protect a baby with PKU from irreversible brain damage? Bioengineers are wired to recognize the importance of the why and the how. It is core to the education. It's part of the daily process in order for research to translate into effective discoveries and solutions. But fundamentally answering and understanding the why and the how of a patient's condition is not how physicians, not how I was typically taught to diagnose or treat disease. And as a result, explaining the why and the how to patients is not how physicians typically communicate. So the Everitt Lab addresses this fundamental issue. The co-location of bioengineering with the Carle, Illinois College of Medicine means that engineers and physicians can educate each other on the pathology of disease and the impact of treatments at the cellular, molecular, physical, operational, clinical, social, quality of life, and hopefully you will include impact at the financial level. The engineering-based medical school curriculum means that physicians will learn when to use the right technologies and the right medications on the right patients at the right time at the right cost. You are the first institution in the world to integrate the practice of medicine and engineering, which means you are the first institution in the world that can deliver truly on the promise of personalized medicine, because you are the first to have a system, a sustainable system for teaching clinicians how to systematically tailor care to an individual based on their risk of disease, their genetics, their biology, as well as what's so very important, their preferences, their priorities, and their values. And even more importantly, if that wasn't enough, the physicians trained at Everett Laboratory and the Carle, Illinois College of Medicine, who, when they understand the why and the how, will be able and hopefully willing to help patients understand why a condition poses a risk and how a treatment can cure or control their condition. Patients need to know why so that they can fully engage in their care, so that they can understand the so what, so that they can make informed choices, and so that they can have reason to be motivated to adhere to their treatment plan. And they need to understand how an intervention works so that they have a rational basis for having hope. So hope is ultimately why every single one of us is here today. Behind every research paper that is published by all of you, behind every sensor, behind every prosthetic, device, nanoparticle, biorobotic, or deep learning model, you have the opportunity to do more than just transform medicine. You can engineer hope into healthcare. Hope will reform care. Hope will transform healthcare. And that is why I am so deeply honored to be with you on this very important and remarkable journey. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Arkell. That was fantastic. And I think the importance, again, you heard of not just the technology, of course, but the patient care and being holistic individuals to also make sure that we understand their preferences, their values, and where they come from. Our last speaker would be Eric Hines. I'll ask him to come up. Eric actually is an alumni from Bioengineering Department and graduated in 2001, which was basically our first class. So I'd like to ask him to come up and make some comments.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Bashir, for the warm welcome. And thank you, Susan Fitzgerald, for inviting me to speak at this celebration for Illinois bioengineering. I'm excited to be here today to speak about the value of the Illinois bioengineering degree. At Smith & Nephew, where we work on orthopedic devices and wound care products, one of my responsibilities is corporate strategy and assessing the needs of our customers, both patients and surgeons. Recently, I brought together a team of surgeons, engineers, marketeers, and salespeople to capture the unmet needs within orthopedic reconstruction, trauma, and sports medicine. These are inventors, clinical, and marketing experts in their field. The total number of unmet needs that we discovered during these engagements was 356. That's 356 opportunities to improve patients' lives, to make medical devices more efficient, to make surgical techniques more efficient, and to address real clinical problems. That high number underscores the importance of strong bioengineering programs to educate those who will solve these medical problems. So I have a few thoughts for the engineering students that are in the audience today. Who better than you to address these unmet needs? The versatility of your degree allows you to pursue a variety of opportunities, address issues across multiple specialties and engineering disciplines, and stay at the forefront as new technology advances are made in the industry. I was fortunate to start my career at Medtronic, and in 2001, we ended up launching the first recombinant protein, BMP2, or bone morphogenic protein 2, which was just recently approved for use in spinal surgery by the FDA. As a product development engineer who had been trained in bioengineering, I was able to converse with surgeons on the science behind that protein, as well as mechanical implant and instrument design. Together, along with the surgeon innovators, like those who are going to be graduating from this new College of Medicine, we were able to bring technologies to market that improve patients' lives, such as eliminating the need for a painful iliac bone graft harvesting in spinal surgery. My education in biomaterials, biomechanics, and anatomy was crucial to that work. Because of your breadth, you are well suited to make those connections as well. Go out and find the opportunities. They are waiting just about everywhere. I've seen them time and time again in my career. At Intuitive Surgical, our Da Vinci robot was once throwing off errors that we couldn't pinpoint or reproduce. The initial root cause analysis was identified to be a ghost. And I'm serious about that. We just could not figure out where this problem was coming from, and we thought a ghost was playing games with us. But analytical thinking by the team that I led to address this situation discovered a host of interrelated mechanical and software issues which all contributed to these errors. This is a real-world type of problem, and teams tackling challenges like this need you. At Imris, I led the development of an MR-compatible robot that works within the bore of an intraoperative MRI. Imaging is an essential component of emerging navigation, robotic, and artificial intelligence procedures, and it is a pillar of Illinois' bioengineering curriculum. You are gathering insights that a lot of other young engineers might not have, and put them to good use. Borrowing from the words of Earl Bakken, the founder of Medtronic, who so elegantly wrote in his mission statement, bioengineers alleviate pain, extend health, and restore life. The value of the Illinois bioengineering degree is its challenging and diverse curriculum, which prepares graduates to address the complex problems, medical problems of today. Remember, 356 in orthopedics alone. There's a lot of problems out there, and the graduates from this college are going to be the ones who work with colleagues across the world to solve these problems. Most importantly, the Illinois bioengineering degree enables graduates to pursue a purpose of helping billions of patients around the world while building strong businesses that contribute to our economy. In the case of medical devices, this is a $400 billion industry worldwide. With the opening of the new Everitt Lab in the Carle, Illinois College of Medicine, the University of Illinois is in a leadership position. To the students out there, the leadership position is a great place to start from. Make the most of it and go out and do great things. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Really appreciate it, and so good to see you back. I'd like to acknowledge a couple of other individuals that are with us in the audience. So we have a board of trustees that oversees the University of Illinois system. Dr. Tim Koritz, are you here? I know you're here. So please stand in and let's applaud, please. Thank you very much. Dr. Koritz is actually a physician himself, so I think he really understands and he can speak for all the things that we're doing today. I think he truly understands and appreciates that. And also Dr. Stuart King. Is Dr. King here with us? Okay, so he was around maybe, but we thank him also. And last but not the least, I'd like to acknowledge President Tim Killeen. Can you please stand? So President Killeen is the president of the UFI system, and we thank you for your leadership and your support of our programs. Okay, so the last thing on the agenda is a sort of a ribbon cutting. So we're going to do something non-traditional. We always think of something doing different, and for those of you who were here with us when we started the building renovation, we had these bricks with DNA that we pulled together, and as a symbolic sort of a step to start things forward. So this is going to be something different. We invite all of our speakers to come forward. Everybody who spoke, please come, along with President Killeen. Dean King Lee is here, Mike Insana, and also Bruce Wheeler. Please come forward. So the banner, we're going to bring a banner in front. The banner is going to be unfurled, and it's a DNA, which is the building block of life, as we know. And today, as a continuation of this symbol, and with the move into the new building, we are presenting a completed strand of a DNA. All right? So before it was bricks that were coming together, now it's a complete strand of a DNA. And through augmented reality, we are showing proteins unlocking the instructional codes within the DNA to bring forth new life. So if on the screen, hopefully what you will see is proteins that are showing up on the DNA, and this is thanks to Alan. Where is Alan? He's right here doing the magic for us. And then, of course, as the instructional codes are unlocked with the DNA to bring forth new life, you actually are going to have a beating heart that is starting up as an augmented reality. So this begins sort of the new life for bioengineering within the new building. So thank you all very much for being here. This concludes our ceremony. It's now time for tours and a reception inside the building. The reception is on the first floor. Please make your way there. You can also take the lab tour booklet to help you with the self-guided tours. And again, thank you so much for joining us on this very special day. Thank you.